If you ask anyone in India about Suzuki, the image that immediately comes to mind is the Maruti 800. Suzuki is the brand that motorized the Indian middle class. They put millions of families on four wheels for the very first time. Outside of India, Suzuki is known for something entirely different. They are titans of the ultra-premium motorcycle world. They build machines that dominate global racing circuits and command respect from superbike enthusiasts. But when you look at everyday Indian roads, there is a glaring absence. Among the sea of commuter bikes weaving through traffic, you will rarely spot a Suzuki badge. How does a company that successfully taught an entire country how to drive fail to understand how that same country rides? To answer that, we have to look back to 1952. Japan's economy had collapsed following the Second World War. Industries were failing, and everyday citizens were struggling to afford basic necessities. Michio Suzuki realized that trying to sell expensive cars to a broken market was impossible. Instead, he listened to what people actually needed and built the Power Free, a simple, affordable bicycle fitted with a small 36cc motor. That decision to adapt to the consumer's economic reality worked. It turned a struggling loom manufacturer into a global motorcycle giant, eventually conquering the most demanding racing circuits on the planet. Suzuki built its entire empire on radical empathy for the working-class wallet. Yet decades later in India, that founding principle is exactly what they would forget. In the early 1980s, Suzuki spotted a gap in the Indian two-wheeler market. They partnered with local company TVS and launched the AX100. Middle-class buyers loved it, and initial sales volumes were strong. But Suzuki built a structural flaw into their model. Instead of local manufacturing, they imported components from Japan, triggering heavy taxes. Although the AX100 sold well, these inflated expenses devoured profit margins. By 1986, the venture recorded losses. Suzuki chose to prioritize their Japanese supply chains over the financial realities of manufacturing in India. It was their first clear sign of corporate deafness. Then the 1990s hit, bringing a severe economic crisis. The Gulf War sent global oil prices surging, and fuel costs in India rose sharply. Indian commuters panicked. Every drop of petrol mattered, and buyers desperately started looking for motorcycles that could deliver extreme mileage. Hero Honda read the room. They captured the market by offering the fuel-efficient four-stroke CD100, which delivered 70 to 80 kilometers per liter. While competitors pivoted, Suzuki remained stubborn. They refused to abandon their outdated, gas-guzzling two-stroke engines, leaving riders struggling to afford fuel. By ignoring the four-stroke revolution, Suzuki walked away from the primary demand of the Indian market at its most critical moment. Inside the joint venture, pressure was mounting. TVS management repeatedly asked Suzuki for advanced technology and funding to fight off aggressive rivals like Yamaha and Bajaj. Suzuki's response was combative. Instead of sharing technology, they demanded veto rights over all decisions. When TVS designed local models tailored specifically for India, Suzuki actively tried to block their launch. The internal friction became unsustainable. In 2001, the partnership officially dissolved, leaving Suzuki without its local operational support or distribution networks. Suzuki's deep obsession with corporate control officially killed the first-mover advantage they had built up in the 1980s. 5 years later, Suzuki attempted a solo return to the Indian market. They released a string of uninspired commuter bikes that failed to capture market share against established giants. Then, in 2014, they finally seemed to listen to the youth market. They released the Gixxer, an aggressively priced, sporty 150cc street bike that immediately drew in thousands of buyers a month. But they quickly squandered all of that momentum. Trying to expand on the Gixxer's success, Suzuki launched the Intruder 150. They slapped the small engine into a massive, bloated cruiser body. The Intruder's failure proved Suzuki still misread their audience. They assumed Indian buyers only cared about the visual appearance of a big bike, underestimating the actual performance Indian riders demanded. Today, Suzuki survives in India largely on the back of its scooter sales. In the motorcycle segment, they remain dwarfed by their former partner TVS and other local giants. Premium global engineering couldn't compensate for a strategy that dictated terms to a price-sensitive market instead of listening to it. But the automotive landscape is shifting again. The approaching electric vehicle revolution offers Suzuki a rare opportunity to start over in India. As the EV era begins, will Suzuki finally return to the radical empathy Michio Suzuki utilized in 1952? Or will they miss the signals from the Indian